again. It's been a couple of weeks. It seems time is racing by at the moment. Have lots on, very excited, having a great amount of fun with my day-to-day job, which is working with the sketch group as an illustrator. Fantastic. And really lots of fun jobs with them, including working at some conferences recently. The whole idea of setting up a drawing board and prompting delegates with a question: if you had a magic wand, what would you do to increase collaboration in your industry, or how would you fix this, or how would you do this? It's supposed to be some just open-ended, blue sky thinking type approach. I say to people, no budgetary constrictions, no practicality considerations, just come up with some wild and crazy idea and I'll draw it. And so by the end of the day, I tend to have a full board full of cute little illustrations, trying to honour the suggestions of people at these conferences. It is a lot of fun, and that's just one of the things that I'm getting to do at the moment, but that's keeping me very creatively satisfied. But in between that, I'm working on my own things, and I feel like the equivalent of a chain smoker with my illustrations at the moment. I'm finishing one and moving straight on to the next. In fact, I've got another idea for the little series that I'm starting of illustrations based on songs that I love. You might remember the weird fishes illustration. And I have another coming up in that series that it's at the inked stage at the moment. I might be able to even show a little sneak peek of it here. And but while that one is on the go, I was just sitting having a cup of tea with Barney on my lap, and I suddenly had to apologise to Barney, lift him up and put him down, because I just had this idea for the next illustration in that series, and I had to rush and do something about it. In fact, I managed to run and grab my sketchbook and sketched out a quick thumbnail while I had the idea fresh in my head. And look, this is my current sketchbook at the moment. Is like it's a very multi-purpose sketchbook. It's full of all sorts of scratchings and notes and ideas. There's some things for the illustration prize that I submitted a little while ago. I sort of started this sketchbook with the intention of sort of putting some more polished illustrations in it. There's like the very first one in there, but it quickly evolved into something that was a lot more useful and practical to me, and I kind of like that. But it made me think about maybe this video could be a little bit of a sketchbook tour of a sketchbook that I finished. I think it started this year, managed to finish it off, and it's probably one of the few sketchbooks where I've actually managed to fill all the pages with illustrations and not so many random scratchings and notes. So it's thought it might be fun to walk through that one and just show you some of the things that I decided I wanted to put in there, but also it was a little bit of a visual diary too for some of my travels, in particular to New Zealand. So why don't we have a look through that, and then we can check back in at the end. And maybe discuss some of the ways that you might use your sketchbooks, and I'd love to see or hear about examples from your own creative pursuits. All right, let's have a look through this one. Okay, so here's the sketchbook. It's one of the Moleskine watercolor paper ones that I really like these. They're not terribly cheap, but the paper quality is really nice, and they're obviously really easy and portable. And I'm just going to walk through these pages and just discuss things as I get to them and make sure that we can see all of these things. So the very first illustration was a little bit of a fail, actually, because I had bought a lovely new pen to sketch with, and when I started adding some colour to this just little sort of series of back alley buildings, I realised the ink wasn't waterproof. So it's kind of a little bit muddy and murky. But the sketchbook was underway. Next one is actually a blank page. because I've cut out the particular illustration. It's the only one that I cut out here, and I might show it so you can see. It was based on a photo that my son and his partner took while they were in Japan. It's a really fantastic street shot. I can't remember if it was Tokyo or not, but yeah, had a lot of fun creating a quick watercolor for that, and so I gave that as a gift in the end. That's why I cut that one particular out. And around that time, my other son was traveling around Europe, and he sent me this amazing photo of this town in Italy, and so that was some inspiration for this particular illustration. And yeah, had a lot of fun with this one, just trying to make sure I captured the panorama nicely. You can see the watercolor just works really beautifully on this particular paper. So I'm looking at the dates on this, and some of this goes back to 23. So the sketchbook has obviously been around for a little while. It's followed me in lots of different places. Another little imaginary landscape, just walking. I have this idea all the time of this. I love these little moments where you sort of can't see over the hill what's coming, and there's nothing but a lovely big blue sky ahead of you, and the mystery of what's over the other side of the path. And this is sort of another one, sort of along that sort of line of just a bit of a bucolic style landscape that just came out of my head, and it was just a chance to play around with watercolor washes and just creating some interesting effects in the sky, painting wet into wet, and then just using a little bit of ink to bring the foreground forward. Got a little bit interested in, after seeing gorgeous examples of Japanese buildings appearing in my Instagram feed, I thought I'd have a go at one myself. It was fine. Not my greatest piece of work, but you can sort of see I've been playing around with this little effect of splattering the ink on there, just trying to create a little bit of noise in the illustration there. But, you know, a little bit of fun. And this one, I'm pretty sure was inspired by an illustration by Franklin Booth, and it just so happens I've ordered a book of Franklin Booth illustrations, which I'm eagerly awaiting, as part of my attempt to address some of my shortcomings in my ink work that led me to despair in one of my pieces most recently. So this is it's something again that just came out of my head, but using the inking style of somebody like a Franklin Booth. Let's see what else have we got in here. You know, this is kind of my comfort zone. Really fine, detailed line work and trees. If I'm ever at a loss of what I want to do, it'll probably involve a tree, and I obviously love these sort of twisted, limbed trees with the bark that sort of wraps around, and again, this idea of a path leading somewhere. Where it's going, who knows? But not quite as obvious the Franklin Booth style influence here. But spent a lot of time in New Zealand over the last year or so, and so this was middle of last year. The view outside of the window of where I was staying with my daughter and her partner, as we did a little bit of a tour around the North Island at that stage. And so there'll be some more New Zealand ones to come. And then there was a little trip away to just outside Daylesford here in Victoria with my old bandmates, where we thought we would try and resurrect a little bit of our rock glory from the past and write a few songs. So we found a church out in the middle of nowhere, and we wrote the bones of some songs, which one day we might record just for fun. So yeah, this was my little visual diary of that time away in Yanduit. I really like this particular one just for the colours. I think that's my mate Neil's setup that he brought with him. Only a small fraction of the fabulous amounts of musical equipment that he has. And there's the motley crew right there. And then next was off to New Zealand at the end of the year, and I started off in Wellington on my own, and just had a great time staying there and visiting different parts of Wellington. Really love Wellington. It's just a magical city. It's very, very friendly and calm, and you can walk everywhere, and it's got some great shops and fantastic cute little bars, and lots of things that you can walk to and see, including their fantastic museum, Te Papa, where they had an amazing exhibition there, which I think has been taken down now, celebrating the Anzacs. So I went in there, and I sort of went in with the intention of just drawing some of the fantastic, more than life-size models that were created by the Weta Workshop of some of the heroes from the Anzac campaign. And it was very much like my version of life drawing, with models that were absolutely still and did not move. They were fantastic. So there's a lot of pencil sketches of the particular heroes of the story, like this one too. There's Private Friday Hawkins and Private Ricky Hana Karkik. And the stories in this exhibition were just wonderful and sort of heartbreaking, and all of the sorts of things you'd expect out of some pretty tragic war stories, including this one of staff nurse Lottie Legale mourning the death of her brother Leddy. If you can imagine, if you haven't seen this particular exhibition, twice the size of a normal person these models are, and they're just sort of sitting there beautifully lit in the middle of these little rooms with a voiceover, and just telling some tragic tales. Then obviously, if I'm in Wellington, I've got to go up to Mount Victoria, which is this fantastic national park right in the middle of the city, where there was some of the filming from Lord of the Rings occurred. So this is the famous Frodo reading tree, but it's from a very different angle to what most people might recognise it. And I had the pleasure of just sort of sitting there. It was slightly raining, and I was nestled in underneath a canopy of leaves to keep me dry, and I spent a lovely little hour or so there just drawing. And then, because I spent most of my time at Te Papa just looking at the Anzac exhibition that was there, I went back to Te Papa again another day, just so I could look at some of the other parts of the museum, including some of their natural history type stuff. And just sitting again, just the pleasure of being able to sit down, out of people's way, do a little bit of sketching, in this case getting the watercolours out as well. And then on another day, I was able to go to this amazing eco park, Zealandia, just 5 minutes outside of Wellington. Catch the trolley car to the top of the hill, free bus that takes you straight to it. And it's this beautiful, large, open expanse eco park wonderland that was built to conserve a lot of the native fauna and flora. So they built lots of huge walls to first trap all of the non-native predators in there and then get rid of them. And once the place was clear, they were able to introduce back the native species. So, it's a beautiful place to go and visit. It's part of the walk looking out across the dam. And then from Wellington, it was to Queenstown, and where I met up with two of my lovely children, and spent a fantastic time there. And Queenstown, if you've never been to Queenstown, it is just astounding how beautiful it is. And I struggled to try and capture just the majesty of the landscape there. It feels so prehistoric. You're just looking across this water at these imposing mountains, the remarkables. And and at the foot of where we were staying was Queenstown proper. So there's this adrenaline-filled town where people go for all sorts of things like skiing and bungee jumping and white water rafting and all of those sorts of things. And then you've got this quiet, still, just epic landscape that surrounds it that's just completely devoid of any human touch, it feels. Really love Queenstown. So tried many times to capture some of the outstanding mountains that surround that space, and the beauty of it is you can catch them at all sorts of different times. So this is late afternoon light, this is slightly earlier afternoon light, and obviously same peak but absolutely different profile of shadows, and so ink on this side, pencil on this side, and then this was on a walk the next day. In fact, this is my birthday, and it was again, this was just not doing justice to just how fabulously grand this landscape is. I tried to include sort of this ferry boat that goes across every hour or so to try and give a sense of scale, but I still didn't quite do it justice. And not far from Queenstown is another one of my favourite places in New Zealand. That's Glenorchy, and there's so many wonderful places to go for walks around Glenorchy, and lots of things. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, there's lots of things you can see down there that will remind you of the films. And this was a particular riverbed, surrounded again by these mountains. Lots of huge imposing rocks. It's hard to see a little bit in this particular illustration. I kind of like this for its craziness and its busyness, but it's quite different. And this is, I've just realised I've got this camera on as well. Just a really beautiful place to see, right towards the end of the roads. Here's my son sort of sitting there having a little bit of a read. This is the Isengard Lookout, for those who might know. And then obviously, this might be hard to see all of. I'll just do it sideways for the time being, but this is Aotearoa or Mount Cook. I can show you this fantastic view up through this part of the mountain stream coming down, and these just glorious clouds that were, let's see if I can get that in there. Yeah, glorious clouds that were brooding over the top of the mountain. And this might be the last illustration, I think, which is my favourite little bar in Wellington, which is the Hanging Ditch. Shout out to the lovely folks at the Hanging Ditch, who were very, very friendly people and looked after a lonely traveller before he was going to meet up with his kiddies. And their bar is just stunning, but they've got all of the bottles that they use just for their service are all hanging from the roof from these cables, and it's very cute that they go up and they just pull down what they need to make their particular cocktail. And just love the it's just tucked away, and you'd have to know where it was to find it. It's just one of those wonders of Wellington, is you can wander down little alleyways and find these fabulous places that really probably only the locals know about. So there you go. That's a complete sketchbook, which is a rarity for me. So I just thought it would be nice to go through it, and you can get a little bit of a sense of how I feel that particular one. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that little wander through just one sketchbook. I've got lots and lots and lots and lots of sketchbooks, but not many of them are actually complete. A lot of them are just real messy. I've come to appreciate that I use them very much to capture ideas, and it's often there's lots of scribbles and writing in them as much as there are some drawings. But I kind of had the opinion that sketchbooks should serve the artist in that regard. They don't need to be these beautiful curated things, even though that sketchbook we just had a look at might look that way. It's very rare that my sketchbooks look like that. I think there's obviously plenty of places for artists to be able to curate their folios through their own websites, through their Instagram accounts, through ArtStation, wherever it is that you might choose to show your work. And so there's a lot of pressure around sketchbooks sometimes about making them perfect, making them beautiful, when really the reality is that not many people are probably going to see them, that they really are there or could be there to help an artist get to another point, to explore ideas in a low-cost fashion before committing to something. So yeah, I think that I would like to continue to champion the use of sketchbooks as more of a private space for artists and illustrators to explore ideas and process. And if it turns out that there's some beautiful things in there, that's fantastic, but that's not the purpose. Enough about my stance on sketchbooks, but if you agree or if you disagree, I'd like to hear in the comments. That would be lovely. How are you using your sketchbooks? That would be, yeah, I'd really love to hear. My simple pleasure for this week is getting something in the mail, and what I really love is when I get home and I find that there's a little package waiting for me on my front stoop. It's just an exciting thing. And most recently, I got a package of some beautiful pieces of pottery by the very talented Gisela Beer, who I worked with at Style Education. She's a fantastic designer, illustrator, and as it turns out, potter. Probably has lots of other strings to her artistic bow. And I'll show some pictures of some of her work, and I think you might agree. They're just beautiful. It's really beautiful work. So I was really excited to get my own GB pottery bowl and two mugs, one with a very cute little cat on it. I encourage you to check out her website. She has an Etsy store if you're interested in purchasing any of her things. Yeah, really talented, and such a nice thing to receive in the post. Thank you everybody who commented on my last video, the thumbnails video, which it seems to have hit a chord with a few people. I'm really excited that people enjoyed that video and felt compelled to say some things about it. And it makes me think that maybe I should be doing a few more of these come draw with me style videos, so I'll have a think about what the next one might be for that. In the meantime, I hope everybody has a fabulous week. Thank you for all of your wonderful support as always, and I'll probably see you in another 2 weeks' time. Okay.